then the Rockets, and then the Warriors. Golden State became the second team in NBA history to reach the finals in 5 consecutive seasons. But we mentioned, of course, the huge injuries. And so, Wendy, as we were talking about this morning, you made note of the fact that those are the top 5 favorites in Vegas, and there are 2 teams you think should be listed above them.
Hello, Utah Jazz, Denver Nuggets. What about the Rocky Mountains? Those teams are loaded. I mean, if I'm the Nuggets and I'm the Jazz, I'm like, okay, the Warriors are down. Even though the Lakers have 2 stars, I saw this in 2010 with the Heat. I saw it in 2014 with the Cavs. It takes those teams a year to get on their feet, to figure out how to put those guys around. LeBron and Davis are probably not going to be at their best in year 1. The Rockets are messing around. They're having all these internal issues. Maybe they'll trade guys, maybe they won't. They can't get their coaching. That's why the Jazz's move yesterday was such a big move.
And also, the thing that people sleep on about the Denver Nuggets, they were the number 2 seed in the West this year. And Jokic was making less than $2 million. Okay? He just came into his own and became an all-NBA player. And I'm going to keep saying this name, Michael Porter Jr. The Nuggets missed the playoffs last year. They were 9th, and they smartly took a flyer on him. He was projected to be probably the most talented guy in a draft that had Trae Young and Luka Doncic. Okay, if he can come back and embody who his potential dictates that he can be as a shooter, a guy that can play on the perimeter, I think that helps catapult.
What if the Rookie of the Year isn't drafted tonight? What if the Rookie of the Year is in Denver?
Correct.
They're so high on him as a shooter.
Trying to
I
tell
don't know
him.
if he's going to get played that many minutes, but what if?
It's back to the Ben Simmons argument about whether a guy should be eligible for Rookie of the Year.
He will be eligible, though.
He will be eligible, and so maybe he wins it. Okay, so the Nuggets, look, you are well on the record, on wax, as you would say, as being a favor of the Nuggets. Let me ask you about Golden State, because you brought this up yesterday, and I want to do this again with Wendy here. We have a little more time to do it. Are people overlooking what Golden State will bring back next year healthy?
Yes. In this era of super teams, we've become so fantasy basketball oriented that we don't look at a team like the Warriors with 3 All-Stars and feel like they're good enough. Steph Curry's going to go back to the form of a guy that was the only unanimous MVP in the history of the league. You never want to see your teammates get injured. But how about Draymond Green? He averaged 7 points this year, wasn't an All-Star, playing alongside KD and Boogie. Now without Klay and KD, he's going to flourish like the guy you saw with the Portland Trail Blazers. And also, DeMarcus Cousins is going to come back and have something to prove. And don't underestimate their player development. Steve Kerr's a really good coach. Bob Myers is going to be able to build a team. Players are going to want to go play with the Golden State Warriors as well.
2 things I'm going to say. Number 1, I do not believe that Draymond is going to extend his contract this summer.
No need.
He will be in a contract year next year, in position to put up the best numbers of his career.
Correct.
And when he is motivated, he is an awesome player. Secondly, let's not equate the KD injury to the Klay injury. KD is probably going to miss the season. Klay may not. And if this team can get themselves into playoff position by the spring, maybe Klay comes back, and okay, he may not be 100%, but they may have those 3 All-Star players again getting into the spring.
I just sat here and wrote down 8 teams in the Western Conference that I think, look, if Klay Thompson doesn't come back until sometime considerably after the All-Star break, I think the Warriors are going to have a very, barring them picking someone else up, obviously that all remains to be seen. But if the team is what we know the team to be right now, I think they're going to have a very hard time making the playoffs in the West.
The Pelicans, especially if they make a good deal for 4 tonight.
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks, Porzingis, Doncic. Watch out for the Dallas Mavericks on Al Horford. That is the landing spot people in the league think he is going.
That now we're talking about another team they would have to get past. Okay, so we have all of this free agency stuff going on, but of course tonight we will hear the names called at the top of the draft. And Jalen, you've been all over this guy all year long. Let's take a look at some of the best moments from Ja Morant.
That was holla, holla.
That was November 26th. That's the one that sort of put him on the national map.
Avery Johnson called me after that game like, Jay Rose, that man gonna be special.
How about this? How about the How about the triple-double that he had against, just give me a little more Avery Johnson. Just narrate this as Avery Johnson.
I can't do a good job, but I'll tell you what, We don't know the
Jalen-
guy name that he just dunked on for a reason.
And how about this? How about one more here? One more. John Morant.
Ooh,
Hey,
Oh,
respect to that kid trying to take the charge. Respect to that kid.
No, that's why
he's
he's gonna
not
take
afraid.
charges. No.
He's not afraid. Respect to that.
Jalen claims never to have gotten dunked on.
I haven't.
Because you just got out of the way. So what exactly does John Morant project to be on the next level? Our analytics team ran draft projections on every player in this class, made comparisons.
A little D Rose in him.
Well, let's take a look and see who it
For
spits
sure.
out. You are correct. It spits
I
out
tell you,
John
this is
Wall
what I do for a living.
and Derrick Rose. That's the comparisons that it is seeing right there. Rose, Wall, Rose, of course, an MVP. Wall, before the injury, terrific. That is who our analytics believe John Morant has the potential to be. Laura.
Greeny, ahead of tonight's NBA draft, former Duke star and projected third overall pick R.J. Barrett has his sights set on the Big Apple. Our own Jay Williams caught up with R.J. and his agent Bill Duffy for the boardroom on ESPN+.
Duff, that's my man.
Have you ever felt throughout any of your time doing interviews, because every time I see you, you're always so well polished, right? And nobody can get you to talk about things that you don't want to talk about. No, that's a skill, RJ. It's a major skill, because you know how the media is. They can run off stuff like that. Where did that kind of preparation come from? Where did you learn how to play that game?
That's the funniest story. So my parents would prepare me when I was young. So my parents knew I would have to go to the airports a lot. So whenever we'd go somewhere, I'd be like, all right, RJ, you're 10, 11 years old. Read the signs and take us through the airport. Or with the media stuff, my dad would make me stand in front of the TV with the fork like it was a mic, and they would just interrogate me and ask me the toughest questions.
Like what? Like what?
I don't know, like, RJ, why'd you miss the game-winning shot? I'm like, I don't know, I just missed. Like, just stuff like that. So that my parents did that when I was young, so I kind of figured it out now.
Or just fascinating stuff right there. For more of the boardroom, you can check out the entire first season, available now on ESPN+. We have the interviewer, Jay Williams, right here. And you know R.J. Barrett well. What would you say about just his background, his experience, even as a child, that sets him up well for
There's a Kobe Bryant-like upbringing with him being from Europe, spending time over in Europe, playing for the Canadian national team. And how about this? Everything about that interview said that he wants to be in New York. New York is the only team that he worked out for. Didn't work out for any other teams. Didn't sign a shoe deal because they will actually want to solidify the market in which they're going to play in. And the way he's approaching the game is very much, hey, look, I'm a New York state of mind. Like, the media can't throw me off my game. I don't care if fans boo me. This is a place I want to be. And in a very tumultuous time, free agency-wise, for the New York Knicks, the fact that you have a rookie who can hold himself to that standard and wants to be here in New York, that says a lot about who he is as a person.
Yeah, I buy it with him. I also think there's a big factor in all of this that he played with Zion Williamson this year. A lot of the attention on Zion when RJ came in as the projected #1 overall pick even before last season. When you look, though, at what could be happening with the Knicks, and we've talked a lot about it on this show, do you really think that with all that criticism that maybe he hasn't dealt with on this level before, that he can handle that?
Well, I think it's going to be an ongoing process. I don't think anybody's truly ready for the New York City market. Greeny and I have gotten into these debates all the time. If they lose, people are naturally going to criticize and talk about the things that he can't do. But here's the one thing I do know about R.J. Barrett, and I can't tell you this enough. I've said this multiple times on this show. I watched him work out a year ago when he was with Drew Hanlen in L.A. He was working out with Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid. He was just not only holding his own, he was putting in work. He approaches the game like a pro. He comes early, he stays late, he watches tape. Everything about this kid screams to you that he's been a pro already in his career, and that's what's gonna make him different. Regardless of whether he performs at a high level or not, I think he's a guy that's built for a long-term return on investment for the New York Knicks.
Not far-fetched to think that when we look back at this draft class, R.J. Barrett could end up being the best pro. Let's play the same game with R.J. Barrett as we just did with John Morant, using ESPN draft projections of who he may compare to. Notable player comps right here, 2016. Any guesses, Jay, as you see that, who we might be talking about?
I don't know. 2016. I know he has a little bit of James Harden in his game with the way he moves off the dribble.
I like that. Let's see who it is. 2016. The comparison: Buddy Hield, according to our analytics, and Brandon Roy in 2006.
I don't know if he shoots the ball like Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is one of the most prolific three-point shooters there was in college basketball. RJ still needs to work work on that shot. I see the Brandon Roy comparison.
We like it. The Zion era as well as the RJ Barrett era officially begins tonight right here on ESPN. It's a